I want to ask you a question, because it's about the sermon today, and the question is, how accepted do you feel? And by whom do you feel accepted? And our experiences in being accepted. When I started this sermon, I want to give you the contrast of being accepted. My contrast that pops into my mind, and I don't know why this is, Clint Eastwood and the movie Unforgiven. Now, this is the opposite. This is accepted. And by whom are we accepted? And there's the scripture that we're looking at today is Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 6. And I tell you, brethren, it is absolutely a delight to know what God teaches us through His Word, through the New Covenant, through the writings of the apostles, through the example and the teachings of Jesus. But in Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 6, it says, "To the praise of His glorious grace, for He has freely given us in one love, in the one He loves." And it talks about, in the King James Version, that we are accepted in His beloved, in Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 6. So what does that mean to us? And what does it mean to you and I to be accepted? Well, let's see, there's the opposite of accepted is, as I mentioned already, is unforgiven. The opposite of accepted is rejected. Some of us may have felt and possibly feel at times both of those things and the like. But when it comes to God, when it comes to you and I, how does acceptance change your life? Does it change your life? So the questions we're going to take a look at today, not that we'll get the fullness of the answer, but these are the questions. How does acceptance change, or does it change your life? If so, how does it do so? How does unaccepted affect us? Because I would submit to us that many people in many areas of their life feel unaccepted. And they feel like they don't belong. And what does accepted mean? Another thought that popped into my mind when I was thinking about acceptance on August 4th, 1964, I got a letter from Ambassador College saying, "Congratulations, you have been accepted, into the university, into the college." And I was absolutely, at that time, I don't know that I was ecstatic. I was wanting to be accepted, but feared that I might be rejected and didn't think there was much hope or whatever at that particular time, to be honest with you. I did not realize all the work that would have to go into being accepted. I thought, whoa, accepted, you're in, that's all there is to it. No, accepted actually meant the beginning of a wonderful journey, a wonderful, awesome journey. It's kind of like being accepted onto a team. You belong. It makes you part of something. You're accepted. And so that's the other part of it that I'm talking about. What is our part in acceptance? So God accepts you. Jesus accepts you. Do we have any part in that acceptance? What part does Jesus play in acceptance? Does He have a part to play in that regard? How do we accept things? For example, as I put here, the kind of question, accept something in the spirit in which it is given. I was having a conversation with Bob this week as we were talking about baptism. I'll just share this with you because it's just general information in one sense. But it's the acceptance is like, for example, you got a $1 million check. And you go to the bank, and because you don't feel very good about yourself, you take the check, you endorse the check, you give it to the teller, and say to them, I want $29.99. Keep the rest. I don't feel, I can't accept the whole $1 million. Can't accept it all. I just, because this is one area, I'm only entitled to $29.99. God offers us what? The blood of His Son, the life of His Son, and how much of that are we accepting? How much of that have we accepted? So do we accept something for the value? understanding its value. On the other hand, we may get something that appears to be very ordinary. Maybe like that vase that that person in England had for about 80 years. It sold yesterday for $83 million. A little vase. Yeah, it's quite a bit of capital. $83 million. And then what we really have to talk about today is our ability to accept. Our ability to accept something that is given. Now, the word that is used here in the book of Ephesians for accepted, in the King James Version, is also the same word that is used in Luke chapter 1 and verse 28. We want to take a look at this because I am hoping that this will give us a better framework of understanding what acceptance is all about. But in Luke chapter 1 and verse 28, we read this, and this is about God's visit through the angels to Mary, and this is what we find here in verse 28. And the angel went and said to her, "Greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you." The highly favored part is the same Greek word that is used with accepted. Now, do you feel highly favored? Or do you feel depressed? Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel sitting in this congregation that you are highly favored by God? Now, you have to be honest with that, with yourself. And because you have to be honest with God. Has God highly favored you? Now, you may look and say, well, I've got this checkered past. You know, if God highly favored me, why am I struggling with the things that I'm struggling with now? Or why didn't God intervene in my life much, much earlier? I would suggest to you that maybe the example of the Apostle Paul was a man who was highly favored in God's sight. A man who had developed his own religiosity. He followed the teachings of the Old Testament. He was very, quote, righteous. He was very legalistic. And then he had to give all of that up to follow Jesus, but he was highly favored. He was loved of God. So was the man who denied Jesus 3 times the night that he was betrayed, highly favored. Now, the question to you is whether or not you and I can accept that we are highly favored in Jesus' sight. Now, that's the real question. Because we get blinded by what we see others think about us or how others feel about us. And we oftentimes pass on our, quote, unacceptability to other people. We tend to make other people feel very unacceptable. That is the tendency that we have. So again, the Greek word is charizou, which comes from the word grace. Now, the point that we need to understand there is that there is grace in acceptance. There is the grace of what? The grace of God in acceptance. The word, again, for grace or charis means divine influence upon the heart. It includes gratitude, joy, pleasure, favor. So we have to ask ourselves, in terms of being accepted of God, do we feel that there is a divine influence upon our heart? Or is there more of a devilish influence upon our heart, a depressive attitude upon our heart, than a divine influence upon our heart? Put it another way, kind of simple terms, bottom line, has and is and shall God be good to you? Is He presently good to you? Is He presently showing His favor upon you? Or is Jesus in heaven looking upon you with a frown?
Feeling the blues today or tired of life already? Do you have questions about life or need spiritual advice? We can help. Log on to worldwidechurchofgod.com or wcgfairfield.blogspot.com and stay connected to reality. The Worldwide Church of God in Fairfield, Santa Rosa, and Modesto are located in the San Francisco Bay Area, regarded as the most prosperous region in the United States. We believe Jesus Christ when he proclaimed in Matthew 6:24 that serving God is more important than serving mammon. We welcome everyone to come and worship and fellowship every Saturday at the times listed on your screen and on our website, worldwidechurchofgod.com.